Hello and welcome. You're on VRTV with Into Vietnam Weekend, which provides you with the most comprehensive and in-depth views of Vietnam's economy in the past 7 days. Top stories of the week. The HSBC says Vietnam's foreign current reserves will touch $40 billion by 2015. Overseas remittances turn away from real estate sector. The Harvey Law Group has made its presence in Vietnam many years ago and has facilitated local people to settle down and invest in other countries. Join us in the business talk to know more about HLG's contribution to Vietnam's economy and its keys to success with Mr. Jean-François Harvey, founder and managing partner of HLG. First of all, is this week's figures. The HSBC Vietnam Bank's General Director Samit Tutor gave an optimistic forecast that Vietnam's foreign currency reserves in 2013 would be about $30 billion and it may be $35 billion in 2014 and $40 billion in 2015. Many years ago, when the dollarization rate in Vietnam was at above 30%, which was considered severe by the measurement of the International Monetary Fund. At that time, reducing the dollarization rate to below 15% was unthinkable, but now the actual ratio is just 12%. Several years ago, while living in the forest red shocks, perhaps the optimists did not think in 2 years in a row the down US dollar forex rate just trained around 1%. The forecast emphasized the stability factor of the down US dollar forex rate in the past 2 years. This has helped foreign investment capital flow back, especially increased very fast and strongly from April 2013 so far. The stable forex rate is considered advantageous for Vietnam to attract investments in region, including, of course, many other factors.
As of November the 15th, VMC has bought 17.3 trillion Vietnam dong of non-performing loans with payments valued by special bonds of 13.7 trillion Vietnam dong.
24 banks has registered with Vietnam Asset Management Company of VMC to sell debts valued at 40,000 million Vietnam dong. VMC is currently reviewing, analyzing, sorting, filtering debts, especially in real estate sector, to continue to buy bad debts from banks. Currently, some of the bad debts have already been recovered. Regarding concerns about the purchased non-performing loans will remain the same after 5 years if the VMC can't sell them. VMC says when buying bad debts, VMC will be proactive in working out solutions to effectively resolve bad debts with participation of all involved parties. For example, VMC, banks and businesses. At the moment, VMC is preparing a plan to buy debts at market prices from 2014 and, with the support of other departments, agencies, policies, etc., have the sale and purchase of corporate debts to be more effective.
Coming up next is major macroeconomic and investment news.
Up to nearly 70% of overseas remittance were poured into Vietnamese production and business in the first 9 months of this year instead of real estate and securities. In recent times, the real estate and securities market attracted a large amount of investment from overseas remittances. In 2011, the property sector lured the most overseas remittances with $4.7 billion, accounting for 52% of the total amount. In the period between 2009-2010, when Vietnam's inflation rate was at 17% to 19% per year, the State Bank of Vietnam had to raise the deposit interest rate to attract more capital. This helped the country to receive more overseas remittances during this phase. However, currently, the frozen real estate and security markets, along with a sharp drop in deposit interest rates, have discouraged overseas remittances. Investment from remittances in production and business is considered to be more effective and pulls in more money from abroad than the real estate and securities sector. Investors now lack confidence in the property market in Vietnam. However, this type of investment has continued to pour into production and business activities, also partially helping to ease operational difficulties for enterprises and households. According to a draft Agriculture Sector Development Strategy till 2030 compiled by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Vietnam has decided to boost international cooperation to develop the agricultural sector as part of plans to guarantee national food security, create jobs, and raise living standards. International cooperation is considered a key solution in developing the agricultural sector, particularly cooperation on human resources training and science and technology development. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development will also draft a strategy to attract and use official development assistance in prioritized sectors, creating favorable conditions for foreign direct investment or FDI in the sector. Vietnam will accordingly prioritize the development of 10 projects by 2020, including developing vegetable and flower cultivation, as well as focusing on cultivation of corn, cassava, tea, rice for export, sugarcane, fruit, mushrooms, cashew nuts, and coffee beans. In order to boost production, producers will be incentivized by a number of tax cuts. The farmland use tax is one in line for reduction, while the Vietnamese government also hopes to amend legal regulations to give enterprises and farmers easy access to bank loans. Under the new strategy during 2014-2020, the agriculture sector hopes to achieve annual growth of 2.5% in production, $20 billion in export turnover, by yielding $7,142 per hectare of cultivable land.
HSBC, in its Vietnam macroeconomics report, predicted that weak domestic demand and benign oil prices would keep inflation low until year-end, staying at around 6.6%.
The bank says that one of the risks to inflation in the coming months will likely come from rising food prices, which saw a sharp uptick in October to 4.1% year-on-year, versus 3.5% in September. HSBC expects a gradual rise in food inflation, especially towards year-end and the Tet Festival. However, inflationary pressures will likely be contained thanks to low global commodity prices. According to the report, the sluggish domestic demand also keeps inflationary pressures in check. While the export sector is feeling a boost from external demand, the domestic sector is still affected by a frozen banking system, which dampens appetite for consumption.
Around half of 122 enterprises surveyed by the credit rating firm World West Bay Vietnam, or WVB, are still reserved about their business prospects, although business conditions have improved compared to 1 year ago. The survey conducted between late September and mid-October is meant to build the business confidence index for the third quarter. The respondents were from 11 different business sectors, and half of them represented small and medium-sized enterprises. Half of the respondents said the overall business environment improved compared to 1 year ago, while 35% said it was unchanged and 15% said conditions worsened. Some 63% of respondents predicted the business outlook would be better, while only 2% were concerned about the future. Some 57% of prone enterprises said they would maintain the current workforce, while 36% said they would recruit more and 7% said they would lay off workers in the next 12 months. The WVB report indicates that enterprises still find access to bank loans restricted due to the lack of access for collateral through interest rates have been slashed. In addition, difficulties in finding outlets for products coupled with concern over the return of high inflation have deterred enterprises from expanding operations. The State Bank of Vietnam is considering a plan to buy gold from local sources after selling all 1.7 million taels to the market. Head of the Central Bank's Forex Management Department announced the plans to the participants at a recent workshops in the capital city, adding that it would increase forex reserves in Vietnam. State Bank of Vietnam said that global gold prices were unlikely to increase following the positive global recovery. The domestic economic outlook has also recovered well, so investors were looking at the forms of investment. SBV did not mention when the bank will start to buy back gold, but said they were well prepared for any situation. SBV said that its intervention in the gold market has helped curb inflation and stabilize the economy. According to the State Bank, the bank's gold auction have helped reduce speculative activity in the market. The measure has helped minimize gold imports and increase foreign reserves. Since March 28 this year, SBV has held 70 auctions and sold 1.7 million taels to local credit institutions. The occupancy rate in the industrial zones remains low, just 60%. The industrial zones in the East and the South region and Red River Delta have been fully occupied, while the ones in the Central Highlands and Northwest can only attract few investors. 184 out of 289 industrial zones, or 97% of industrial zones, have become operational. By the end of 2012, the projects had accounted for 50% of the total foreign direct investment, or FDI. In the first 10 months of the year, 73% of FDI flowed into industrial zones, roughly $9.8 billion. According to Economic Zone Management Board, an arm of Ministry of Planning and Investment, prior to 2009, industrial zones were considered the areas with difficult conditions, and the investors there could enjoy preferential tax rates. However, later the preferences have been removed, thus making it difficult for industrial zones to attract investment. The poor infrastructure in industrial zones is also the reason why industrial zones cannot attract many investors. Except the industrial zones developed by joint ventures or foreign enterprises, others which don't have much money to spend on their infrastructure development cannot attract investors or can only attract low-quality projects. After reviewing the 20-year industrial zone development, the government has applied a series of new policies to help industrial zones attract more investors. The corporate income tax law has been amended in the areas with difficult conditions such as the Central Highlands, the Northwest, or the Central region. The Ministry of Planning and Investment would develop the infrastructure with the money from the state budget, while it would organize the events to promote investment there. Statistics of the Ministry Department of the Domestic Market show that up to 59% of consumers have prioritized using Vietnamese goods, while 38% have advised their families and friends to choose homemade products, and 36% have stopped buying or have bought fewer imported goods, having replaced them with local goods. According to the ministry's figures, the number of consumers who believe the quality of local products has improved has increased to 77% compared with just 23% before the campaign was launched. After running the campaign for 3 years, locally made products accounted for 80 to 90% of goods or sales in supermarkets such as Big C 90%, Saigon Co-op and Vinatech Mart nearly 95%. The draft projects created by the ministry to develop the domestic market in line with the awareness campaign for locally made products targeted says 90% of Vietnamese consumers using made in Vietnam products while raising the turnover of these goods through major distribution channels nationwide to over 70% by 2015.
Coming up is some foreign trade news.
The General Department of Vietnam Customs said Vietnam was estimated to have incurred a trade surplus of $10 million in October. In details, the country was estimated to earn $12.61 billion from exports in October, increasing 12.8% on month, while it spent $12.51 billion to buy goods and services, increasing 11%, resulting in a trade surplus of $10 million. In January-October period, the Southeast Asian country was estimated to have reaped total $108.72 billion from exports, making a year-on-year increase of 16% in absolute value, while the country was estimated to have spent total of $108.87 billion to buy goods and services, making a year-on-year increase of 15.9% in absolute value. The country's exports started in the period were mobile phones and accessories, garment and textile, crude oil, seafood, computers, electricity products, and spare parts. The country's key import items in the period were machineries, equipment, and spare parts, clothes, steel, and crude oil.
According to Người, Rubber Group, the country's natural rubber exports fell by 59% to 480 tons in October this year, due to a fall in domestic production. In detail, production of natural rubber dropped by 7.3% to 83,000 tons during October in the current year, against 89,500 tons in the same period last year. Similarly, consumption of natural rubber has also come down by 3.57% to 80,500 tons in October this year. Total exports of rubber during April and October period in current year has fallen by 54% to 3,975 tons against 8,611 tons in the same period a year ago.
A new coffee harvesting season has just started. However, the coffee price is continuously declining. Speculation and not selling products in December and January are solutions suggested by experts in this sector to keep the coffee price for further decrease. More in our business report.
From the beginning of November, the coffee price has witnessed fluctuations. According to experts in this crop, the coffee bean price won't be at the lowest level in the last 3 years. In November, the coffee bean price was about $30,000 per kilo, even it went down to $28,000 per kilo. Businesses said this price was even lower than the production cost, therefore losses are foreseeable for coffee growers. The export coffee price is also said to be the lowest in 3 years, hence to keep the coffee price, according to coffee exporters and the association, farmers and businesses themselves should store coffee in December and January.
Với giá của người nông dân hiện nay, giá 30.000 hiện nay thì sát với giá thành của người nông dân và hầu như là người nông dân là không có lợi nhuận. Do đó tìm mọi cách để mà giữ lại giá cho người nông dân, trong đó có vấn đề tạm trữ, mà tạm trữ ở đây là thứ nhất là người dân tạm trữ, cái thứ hai là bản thân các doanh nghiệp cũng phải tạm trữ trong vấn đề này. Có nghĩa là chúng ta không nên tập trung bán nhiều vào những tháng cao điểm như tháng 12, tháng 1 mà cân đối bán ở cái mức độ vừa phải để tạo điều kiện để cho giữ giá được tốt.
Temporary storage means avoiding selling coffee in the harvesting season, especially in December and January, because the commodity market is decided by supply and demand. Speculation and storage to wait for better price at first will lead to shortage, which supports and stabilizes the coffee price.
Tạm trữ mục đích là làm thế nào là giữ giá, thứ hai nữa là tạm trữ là tránh cái việc bán ồ ạt trong một cái thời gian rất ngắn. Ví dụ thu hoạch cà phê là chỉ có 2-3 tháng thôi, từ tháng 12 đến tháng 1. Nếu chúng ta cứ ồ ạt bán trong những thời điểm tháng 1 và tháng 12 thì chắc chắn là ảnh hưởng đến giá sẽ xuống.
Là nông dân giữ lại giá, ví dụ thế, giữ lại cái sản lượng cà phê trong nhà, hoặc là nhà nước, chính phủ cho phép, tức là tạm trữ khoảng 2 đến 300 nghìn tấn cà phê và bán ra theo cái dạng nhỏ giọt, thì tôi nghĩ rằng cái giá cà phê nó sẽ phục hồi lại chứ nó không tiếp tục lao xuống dốc sâu hơn nữa.
However, it's not easy to store coffee immediately because not all farmers have good financial foundation to wait for higher price. There is only one harvesting season in the year, and it comes at the year end, so it's the income for farmers to spend during Tet and pay the debts for fertilizers and labor costs. All these costs are higher than the previous crop, not to mention a series of difficulties such as low productivity due to bad weather and large areas of old trees. So far, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, together with the coffee-growing provinces in the highland, in coordination with VICOFA, has agreed on government storage plan for the 2013-2014 period. It can be seen that businesses badly need the support from government agencies and banks.
Doanh nghiệp thì đối với người nông dân thì nên giữ hàng mà bán từ từ theo yêu cầu. Và cái thứ hai nữa là cũng kiến nghị với ngân hàng là làm nhanh các cái giải quyết, tạo cái thuận lợi để cho người dân được vay tín chấp 50 triệu để người ta vay và người ta có điều kiện để tạm trữ.
Coffee growers and exporters are facing lots of difficulties, including bad crop, low price, and bank loans. Therefore, they have to accept selling coffee at loss to pay for the debts. The support from government and banks are necessary for farmers and businesses to successfully store their products.
Founded in 1992, the Montreal-based Harvey Law Group, or HLG, has maintained a presence throughout Asia, South America, and the Middle East since early beginnings. Arriving in Vietnam many years ago, HLG has succeeded in helping Vietnamese people to acquire traveling documents, settling down and investing in other countries. Moreover, the group also brings foreign investors to the country, helping to boost FDI inflows to Vietnam. The Business Talk this week is joined by Mr. Jean-François Harvey, founder and managing partner of HLG, who will share his group contribution to Vietnam, as well as his key to success. More to follow. First of all, thank you so much for joining our program today on VITV channel. Can you assess on the chances for Vietnamese people with two passports to settle down, invest, and live in other country supported by HLG Group?
You know, business is become more and more global, and despite all the technology of today, internet and everything, business is still business, it's still face-to-face meeting, right? So that's why we have been very, very successful in Vietnam to help people acquire travel document or other residents outside Vietnam so they can do business directly. And this is very, very good for Vietnam, of course, because they bring back investment from foreign country. And more importantly, they can, whenever they need, they can exit Vietnam, do the meeting in Paris or New York City or London, and then come back and bring more business in Vietnam. So far, we have been very successful for our clients. All our clients have acquired foreign residence or foreign citizenship, and they use that as a business tool.
Have they got any challenges in find a living, a job, and invest in other country? What has your group done to help them to settle down in other countries?
The challenge, it can be challenging, of course, to establish in another country. What is very important is to support them to do that. Since HLG has been doing that for 20 years, we have a whole system in place where we work step by step. Once the client acquires the foreign residency, we will help them first to do a first trip in the country, let's say, for example, in Canada. And we will introduce them to the Vietnamese community in Montreal or Vancouver or Toronto. So they already start to get friends, and their friends will help them where to buy a house, which school is best for the kids, and things like that. Then we will bring them again. This time, the second trip or third trip, this is where they really establish. They decide if they want to buy or rent a house, they decide at the school and all this. So it's very a step-by-step approach. And we are very, very good at this, very good at supporting the client. So this way, the establishment goes very, very smoothly.
Can we see that the process is quite short? It takes you only a few months.
That's it. It's a few months to establish yourself.
Can you talk a little bit about your branch all over the world, and especially the countries that Vietnamese people often choose?
We have office indeed all over the world. First of all, we have 3 offices in Vietnam already. We have office in Hong Kong, in China, of course, in Turkey, in Paris. We have office in Miami, Florida, in Canada, of course. We're still a Canadian law firm. And so all those offices are in place to help the client. We have even office in Greece now. So because Greece is very popular in Vietnam lately. So we have an office in Greece to help them to establish also. So it's very, very a good system that works very smoothly.
The HLG has helped Vietnamese people to work overseas so that they will turn some inbound remittances back into the country and help to boost the economy.
They do that a lot, of course, but HLG is also bringing foreign investment to Vietnam. It's because we have a lot of clients, by example, in China. We did thousands and thousands of cases in China. And as you know, China is having more and more problems with the environment and tax issue and everything. So we have many clients who's asking us to find them a place to move the manufacture from China to Vietnam. We had French client French company who had their manufacturer in China, which we helped to move the manufacturer here in Vietnam. So of course that creates jobs, foreign investment, so everybody is happy with this. And we're happy too because we make a fees, we make our legal fees too, so we're very happy with that.
And last but not least, in the past 6 years, it can be seen that HLG has been very successful here in the country. What are your secrets to succeed?
It's to respect the local culture. We came in as a foreign law firm, but 90% of our team is local. Okay, we have local lawyers, not only foreign law. We have foreign lawyers, of course, but we have local lawyers too. And it's all about respect. It's all about respect. We don't arrive here and say we're better. We arrived here 6 years ago and we told people, teach us how to do business here. And not us teaching you. And it's all, we've been so successful in different culture because we always have this first rule. You have to respect the local culture and adjust to it. Not trying to change it, but adjust to it.
Now, one more time, thank you so much for your informative sharing today.
You're very welcome, and you're welcome to ask me more questions anytime you want.
As usual, the final part is a summary of the securities market during the week. And that's all for now. Thank you so much for your attention. For comments and feedback, you can reach us via email at intovietnam@vitv.vn or give us a call at 0422 08288. Goodbye for now.